welcome to Pods and Pies. We have some pizza.
Sponsored, fake sponsor again by the pie.
By the pie.
Yeah, we hope that one day they'll see these podcasts and maybe give us a free pizza.
They should.
One of these days.
But what did we order today? We got a little
buffalo chicken ranch.
Ooh,
if that's
that'll do the body good.
Yeah.
Well, it might come out not so good, but it'll go in fantastic.
Hey, yeah.
I'll take
whatever you got to do.
I'll take one of these little pull aparts too.
Let's do this.
Get in there.
Yeah, we got two pies today. Well, I guess a kind of a pizza or a cheese pull apart.
I don't know if can you do a podcast and eat something this.
We can.
We can. That's the difficult thing with the guests is they usually.
Yeah.
It's always hard for them to eat and talk because they talk most of the time.
Right.
We encourage them to take bites, and talk with their mouth full.
Little nibbles.
And
but the other thing is difficult.
Well, and if I have to wait and eat it when this is over, I mean, you do what you do.
Yeah, do what you do.
See, and I don't care. I'll just talk with my mouth full.
All right.
You just got to have that attitude of like, screw it.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
So we were talking. We've been doing this for maybe 20 or so weeks. We've wanted Brandon Fish on for 20 or so weeks. We finally made it happen.
Yes.
I was like,
it was one of our. It was like top of the list, and I'm not saying that because you're here. We're friends. We've known each other a long time, but it was like okay. Now, who are the top dudes that we want in fairly quickly? Okay, Brandon Fish, so and so.
And this is. I didn't sleep good last night because I was excited. I was like a little kid on Christmas again. Like, just like, all right, we got beef fish coming in.
Get your hopes up too much here, but.
Oh, you're here.
But I'm
a lot of pressure to say some really cool things.
That's why and I have no clue where this is going to go.
Well, that's good.
We'll see.
Well, let's kick it off. Tell me about. I've heard something of like a deer incident.
Oh wow. You've done some research.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Gosh. Yeah, we're actually coming up on 7 years since that incident, I think. 7?
Deer incident.
Yeah, so I grew up in Arizona where there's deer, but they were way far away from where I grew up. So I had never had a deer encounter. But then I've lived in Utah now for 25 plus years. Never once had even come close to hitting a deer. So yeah, I used to work at Entrada. Love that place. And one of the first things that we did was implement this thing called the Jones Family Reunion, which became kind of our annual, like, really fun party to take employees off site for a day and enjoy some time, whether it was
Why Jones?
So one of our values there, I should say one of the values at Entrada is be the Joneses. So
because the neighborhood, the old term, keeping up with the Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses, and we didn't want to keep up with the Joneses. You want to be the Joneses. You want to be innovative. You want to be the best, right? With your product, with your employees, everything. So after planning this, somebody just came up with the idea of why not? Let's not call it a retreat. This is like the Jones Family Reunion. So, of course, being in human resources and being in charge of planning this, we decided to find a venue up in the mountains because at Entrada they rotated. You'd either do a winter Jones Family Reunion or a summer family reunion. The first few years we found a cabin up in Timber Lakes, up east of Heber.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's like 26,000 square feet. It's called the Timber Moose Lodge, and it's the biggest privately owned cabin, I think, in the U.S. So anyway, we found this awesome cabin, and to plan an event for hundreds of people, and you do about 100 people a day, so we would rent it for the whole week. We had to take up...
Like any sleepover, just people coming up for the day,
just
100?
Just for the day. Yep.
Next. Okay.
My team mostly we stayed up there because we had to clean it, restock everything, and get it ready for the next day. And this place has 15 bedrooms and an indoor Olympic pool. It's huge. So we decided, hey, if we're going to stock this place, we got to take up food for 600 people at the time, or back then we were maybe 400 or 500, for the whole week. So we rented Suburbans, decided let's go up Sunday night because we got to stock this place. So I was leading out the caravan of Entrada employees, and no joke, I laid down the seats of this Suburban. We had like 5 Suburbans. It looked like we were the motorcade for, the president, but
Yeah.
and I was leading up, going around Deer Creek, and my wildest nightmare came true, and all of a sudden there's a deer standing right in the middle of the road. And it's dark. I'm going, 65 miles an hour. I've probably got 3,000 pounds of Mountain Dew in my Suburban with the seats down. So I had 2 options: swerve really and go into the lake, because it was just right there before you get to Charleston, coming around Deer Creek.
Yeah.
Or just smash this thing. And that was my instinct was just hit the brakes and kind of turn your head, because this deer doesn't have a chance. And so sure enough, that's what I did. And I just you can imagine the weight. I was low riding in a Suburban, and I hit this deer, and it just launched it, because I was much bigger than that thing. Anyway, panicked. I started shaking. I'd never hit something like that. Pulled over. The rest of my team pulls over, not knowing what happened, because they were behind me. I get out. The radiator had broken, steaming everywhere, and I'm thinking, gosh, are we going to be able to get up there? Anyway, long story short is we made it to the cabin. It was so cold that night that I didn't worry about the radiator, so we continued to the cabin. We get up there, and the next day when employees started coming, they told our CEO, hey, did you hear about what happened last night? And he's like, no, I didn't hear what happened. They said, well, Fish ran into a deer, and it's laying on the side of the road. So he tells our creative director, we got to go get that thing and mount it and give it to him as like a trophy, Well, I didn't know any of this was going on behind the scenes. And fast forward, we had the event. It went great. Everything was awesome. About 2 months later, we had our first company meeting. And at the end of the meeting, I forget who it was, came up and said, well, we had a little incident a couple months ago. We'd like Brandon to come up here. And we're at the time in our old building, so we didn't have a big enough space to meet.
Did you have any idea, like when they said we had an incident, we need Fish to come up, were you like...
No clue.
You had no idea.
At the time. But then once I started walking up and they said, remember back during the Jones family reunion? Then immediately I knew something's up. Well, they get me up on stage, and we were at the movie theater at the Megaplex, because we didn't have a space big enough at the time to have our company meetings. So I'm walking down, and as I get to the front, one of my assistants, she brings out this deer mounted.
You're talking like mounted.
Mounted to like a wooden sheet, like just this wooden plank with this wire behind it, because the intent was, of course, he's got to put it in his office, right? So anyway, they presented me with the deer, and at the bottom of it, the plaque just said, "Oh dear," and I was like, "What does that mean?" And they said, "Well, we know because you don't really swear, that we feel like that was probably the last thing you said,
what you said
right before you hit it." So, yeah,
that's amazing.
That's the story about the deer. And
oh dear.
Yeah. So that actually, the deer, I think, is still hanging up. It's hallowed.
Did you leave it at? You left it at Entrada.
I left it. It's part of
as a parting gift. You said, "I'll leave this."
I'll leave this. And you know what? That's
in your office.
Well, originally it was, but the funny thing was when we moved into our new building. It used to be in my office when we were over by the west side of Thanksgiving Point. But when we moved to the new office, my office, and you guys know this, when you walked in the front doors, if you looked all the way down to the left, you could see through the HR department right into my office, because it's all glass. Well, I had that hanging on the wall, and the CEO was like, that's probably not the best thing as we give tours for people to just see a dead deer. Yeah. So he asked me to move it. And I did, of course. So we moved it actually to an internal wall inside Human Resources that you couldn't see unless you came in, in the department. But yeah, it's part of the Entrada culture now, so it had to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine it could be one of those gifts where it's really thoughtful and really funny story, but you're just trying to find like a reason to leave it behind. Like, okay, I don't know if I really want this hanging in my office.
It was nasty.
Yeah, no.
It was not the kind of deer you'd be
You
proud
move
of.
offices like, oh, whoops, somehow it was left behind. Somehow
Yeah.
it was lost in the move.
Yeah, no, gross. I mean, it had hair missing and little nubs for like antler. I mean, it was just not something to be proud of. And I'm not a hunter, but I would not be proud of hanging
You
that
wouldn't be
thing.
proud of hanging that one.
No.
That was awesome.
Anyway, yeah, that was good. You dug that up.
That's a good story.
Oh dear.
Oh, dear.
I've never hit
Do you
a deer.
think that's what you said? Like, can you remember? Do you think you said like shit or something, or were you like?
I think in my
No.
mind, I probably thought that, but I didn't say it.
It was just too quick.
It was
just
too
like,
quick. I actually don't think I said anything.
Lake
It probably
deer.
was
I'm
like,
hitting the deer.
ugh. I think something like that is probably what happened. But
Just
because I was in the car, but we all were driving our own.
Yeah.
I mean, the other Suburbans were filled with food and Costco. We'd just come from Costco.
yeah.
So
Well, you made the right choice. Just plow it.
plow
Yeah.
it. Well, that's what
Sure.
that's what later when I was talking, in fact, I had to fill out a report and all this because of the rental car, and they said that's the best, vehicles are intended to be hit from in the front. So you were better off otherwise ending up at the bottom of Deer Creek Lake, which I probably wouldn't be here sharing this pie with you guys
This
if
pie.
I'd done that. So
Thank heaven
That's
for
true.
the right choice.
Well, you are here. That's a great story, though.
That's awesome.
it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all. The person that I asked just said deer incident.
Deer.
Is that all right?
Oh.
Done.
I can think of a few different people who you would have asked, but I think I might know, but I guess that's irrelevant.
Awesome. So when did you come to Utah from Arizona?
Oh. So, I graduated in the early 90s from high school, and then went on a church mission. Got back in 94 and came right up here to Utah.
Okay.
So,
To BYU.
I actually started at UVU,
Did you? Okay.
and I tested out of the whole served a Spanish mission. So I got home, went to UVU for a year, tested out, got all these credits, got enough for an associate's basically, and then transferred over.
Awesome.
Because I wanted to go to the business school at BYU. So
Yeah.
that's ultimately what happened. Yeah.
So did you know you were going to go to BYU?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like any specific reason you didn't stay in?
Well,
Arizona?
for one, I'm a huge Cougar fan.
Big
So,
Cougar fan.
and I'm like a third generation graduate. My grandparents both worked for BYU. My parents both
Yeah.
went there. So it was like, it's a no-brainer for me.
tradition.
Kind of tradition.
Like here, yeah.
But I thought the Marriott School was a great option for what I ultimately wanted to do. So
So you came back. You were starting to go to school in '94.
94. So yeah, it actually had just changed from UVCC to UVSC
Yes. Yeah.
way before UVU. So Utah Valley State College is what it was at the time. I think it switched in the early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah. I think it was like late '90s.
Late.
Oh
maybe-
no, from UVCC.
UVCC, yeah.
No, that's right.
Just
It was
before
like
I got-
late '80s ish.
Yeah. So, but no, yeah, it was great. I actually loved UVU. A lot of my professors, great experience there, and then decided to transfer over when I applied to get into the Marriott School. So, yeah.
What did you get your degree in?
So business, I started my emphasis in finance, but then realized, you know what? I'm not a finance guy. So I switched to marketing, and ultimately my emphasis was in marketing, but definitely not human resources. Had I known I'd end up in human resources, I would have done like organizational behavior or HR, but that's a different story, that my path of where I ended up. But yeah,
Nobody knows they're going into HR.
no. A few people do.
I think
But
even the
there's
people
a
that
few.
have there's a
Yeah.
few people that have actually even gotten degrees like in HR, but they still weren't planning on going in HR.
Probably.
They were just like, yeah, it's a quick degree, it's easy.
Yeah.
I'm good with people, I'll go there.
Yeah.
And they still were like, I had no idea I was going to even end up there.
Yeah, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I certainly didn't. I don't even know if I knew what HR was at that time. But yeah,
So when did you finish up at BYU?
99.
So '99.
99, yeah. So I was on the 5-year plan. I had to work all through college. I mean, no free pass, so I had to work 30 hours a week. Took me 5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a grind, man. Paying my way through college, and I knew I wanted the degree, so I kept the pedal down and finished in April of '99. Yeah,
Okay.
so
April '99.
about 4.5 years.
Did
yeah.
you meet your wife during?
I did. So actually, the summer after I got back home from my mission, I went and did summer sales with a friend of mine, Todd Peterson. he hired me back when they were Apex, before Vivint and all of that. And it was pest control, not home security or alarms or any of that. So I hired my own team and went and sold in San Jose. And I had never, I'd sold, like, I worked a couple jobs where I felt like I could sell stuff, you know. But I had never really sold, especially door to door, let alone manage. So he trusted me to hire my own team, hired 10 people, and we took ship in on May of '95. Went to San Jose and it's a grind. Door to door is brutal. So I would sell sometimes.
Was the mission worse, or was the door to door sales worse? Going door to door.
Where were you on your mission?
Honduras and Guatemala.
Yeah. Okay.
So living was way worse. I don't know. San Jose. San Jose is kind of interesting. No, like living conditions for sure, the mission was tougher, but the grind of day to day, I think I got rejected more selling pest control than preaching Christianity in Central America. It was brutal. I would sell in the mornings and sometimes the afternoons, and then because I was a manager, I didn't make money on my own sales, but I could gift them to my team. So the sales that I would make, I would use those as spiffs to the highest seller that day. I'd say, hey, whoever gets the most sales today, I'll give you my 2 sales. I was paid off the team, not my individual. So it was just a grind. So I did that for 4 months. Actually, at the end of it wasn't bad, because one of the salespeople, she was best friends with my wife in high school. So So the reason I'm telling you this story is because when we got back, she said, hey, I have this, you guys know I'm tall. She said, I have this really tall, beautiful friend who's 6'1", and I think you guys should go out. So I was like, yeah, sure.
Your wife's 6'1"?
She's 6'1".
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. So anyway, I was like, yeah, let's do this. So she set us up, and the day of our date, the girl that set us up got sick. So she said, I'm sorry, I got to bail. If you want, we can reschedule. I was like, no, because it was going to be a double date.
Okay.
I was like, no, I'm good. I'll just go pick her up. Never seen her. I'd seen a picture, like a wallet picture. So yeah, I showed up at her house. She grew up in Provo, just above Timpview, and actually her mom opened the door, and I saw her picture on the wall, and I was like, yes. I was like, I think that's her. So
oh dear.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. So yeah, we went out. It was weird. Single date, blind date is a little interesting, but I'm a talkative person, so we had plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, we dated for almost a year, and that was in February or January of '96. We sold the summer of '95. She set us up when we got back. We finally went out, I think, in January of '96, and then got married in December. So,
okay.
Yeah,
It's
good
almost
story.
a year.
That's a good story, man.
Yeah.
Did you sell every summer?
No,
While you were BYU?
one
Just
and done.
One and done.
But you know what? I made good enough money to that whole next year I didn't have to work, which was actually good, because I really could. That was the year I was applying to get into the Marriott School.
Yeah.
So even though I was dating my wife, so I had that distraction of wanting to spend time with her all the time, but not having to work, I could really focus on my grades, and that I think helped. Not having to work, so I could get good enough grades to apply to get into the Marriott School, but then after that, it was rough. It just wasn't for me I enjoy people, but going door to door, I thought, you know what, I'm going to stay, work through the summers, and just kind of. Plus, I didn't want to head out with being married that next year, and that whole thing would have been kind of rough.
Tough,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, so that's the story of meeting my wife at BYU through a mutual friend that I sold pest control with. But
Was she going to school with you too, though?
she was going to BYU as well. So her dad was actually a professor at BYU, so she was going there, and yeah, the rest is history. But
Did she play sports, being 6'1"?
she actually was a swimmer,
Okay.
and seeing her in the water is like amazing. She just glides. Like even to this day, if we go swimming, I don't know how I guess it's just muscle memory, but she just, because I run, I bike, I do lots of stuff, but I get in the water and it's like I either sink or I'm just like floundering, but she just glides through the water. So yeah, she swam. I think she was a state swimmer at Timpview.
What's her maiden name?
McKee.
My sister went, I think she was on the diving team.
Oh.
Probably around that same time. So I just wonder if they.
Yeah, McKee.
Faster.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, no, she was a great swimmer, but you'd think 6'1" she would have played volleyball or basketball, but she didn't. She was gliding through the water.
Gliding through.
Yeah. And what was after BYU?
So I got my first job. So I graduated in business, and at the time, so marketing degrees now are much different than now with internet and branding and marketing. I mean, when I graduated, most of the marketing graduates were going into sales. That's what all my buddies had done. So I thought, well, I'll start interviewing for sales jobs, not door-to-door sales jobs.
Had that experience.
Yeah, traditional. So I thought, hey, I started interviewing with like Pfizer, Eli Lilly. I thought maybe pharmaceutical would be the way. But little did I know that Black & Decker had recently acquired DeWalt, and they owned DeWalt, and they were interviewing like crazy out of BYU because they loved hiring these people that had sales experience or
like mission
LDS background.
Selling Christianity for 2 years.
Selling Christianity and not power tools. Yeah. But yeah, the CEO at the time, Nolan Archibald, who actually his sons now are in my neighbors, but he was the CEO, so they recruited heavily out of BYU.
Okay.
So I thought, what the heck? I'll go interview. And I was super impressed. I was like, this is a great company. I get a chance to get a territory and kind of learn. Plus, I love gadgets, so I was like, these tools are sweet. Even though I don't really know how to build stuff, I love gadgets. And the reason I ultimately went and accepted an offer to sell DeWalt was the interview process was so long for pharma. Like, I mean, there were five.
It's long.
It's long.
Yeah.
And so I was, 5 interviews in, I think, with Pfizer, and probably 3 with Eli Lilly, a couple interviews with Johnson & Johnson, not knowing, hey, what if I get all the way to the end and I don't get the job? Well, DeWalt was like, they did like power interviewing in 2 days, and they basically said, we want to hire you when you graduate. So I thought about it for a couple weeks and then decided, you know what, this will be fun. The idea was to send me to Denver. So we accepted, but then I said, hey, my wife's actually graduating in August, 3 months. I was graduating in April. She was graduating in August. And in between when I accepted and graduated, a position opened up in Salt Lake to cover, it was all the big box, like Home Depot. At the time it was Eagle, but now it's Lowe's.
Okay.
I think it was Eagle Hardware or something like that. But anyway, they said, would you want to stay in Utah? Because your wife's still here. And I did, which was obviously awesome. So so I took the job and got a sweet yellow truck.
Dude, you drove the truck.
I drove the truck.
Dude, yes.
With a truck full of tools up and down. I covered from St. George to Idaho Falls. So I covered so I was just traveling like crazy. But, most of them was just overnight here and there. But it was a great gig. I worked there a couple of years and gained a lot of good experience. So, loved it.
So were you, like a Home Depot, obviously they're stocking those. So is it kind of like at that point you're just checking in?
Yeah.
Making sure they're selling? Can you do anything to help?
That was really, it was kind of more of a glorified account manager. I mean, I will say, like during peak holidays, of course, Father's Day, you want to get a huge end cap.
Yeah.
They called it end caps because Father's Day.
Did you have to go set those up?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted the reps to. In fact, the reps that were more willing to do that, they would typically give the better real estate because they didn't want to do it. Plus, we had from corporate kind of our ideal template of what an end cap needed to look like. So they wanted us to do it to make it fit kind of what corporate wanted. So we would, the reps that were the most diligent about staying up on the accounts usually so I was competing with like the Milwaukee and the Bosch, and Rigid had just started, which was Home Depot's line, Makita. So we're all in there, before these holidays jockeying for position to try to get the best end cap. So that kind of taught me like, hey, you got to get scrappy. Which typically wasn't like a kind of a native thing for my personality. So that taught me some good skills, and I loved it. So I'd get in there and just try to, the good thing was if you could get an end cap established, then they have to order a lot of product to fill the end cap. So that's the whole idea. So that's where I would say, well, you need to put an $80,000 order to fill, you need to fill these end caps. And so that's kind of where you build the relationship and hopefully get them to order more product.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you own right now? Hold on. What power tools do you own? What's the brand of power tools, if you have any? I'm assuming you do.
Yeah,
in your garage.
I got set up pretty good.
You still have like the originals?
The originals. We're talking 21-year-old hammer drills. The problem is the batteries have changed. You can still find the original 18 volt with the stem, but now they've switched to the lithium ion that slide in.
Yeah.
So I've upgraded a few. I've got a new set of.
Is your brand DeWalt?
It is DeWalt. I don't have a non-DeWalt tool in my, and I have a lot of tools.
Loyalty,
dude. It's loyalty. And it's funny. Even though I left, since then I've bought a miter saw, which DeWalt owns. They have the best miter saws. They have the best cordless. There's, Milwaukee definitely owns the Sawzall. Bosch, the skill saw is kind of. So DeWalt isn't, I wouldn't say the best in every category, but overall you've seen it in the last 20 years, their marketing is incredible. And you see, anytime you watch like a home improvement store, they're working with yellow tools.
My cordless is a DeWalt.
Yes. You probably bought one from one of the end caps that I set up.
Probably, maybe.
Well, Result. That's right.
Result, yeah. We're just going to say that I did.
Yeah, we'll say you did.
I got this because Bfish set it up. Yeah.
I have a Rigid. Is that am I a trader?
No, not a trader.
No, he is.
Okay.
For sure.
I like Rigid. I don't know. Hey, that's like Depot brand.
I couldn't tell you.
They're good.
I think I got mine because it probably was on an end cap and it was on sale. And I was like, I know this name.
Yep.
It's good. I'm going to get it.
That's right.
Starts with a D.
Yeah.
Your name starts with a D.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong. They all make good.
Yeah.
They all make good product.
Yeah.
But
what was after DeWalt?
So
this is getting interesting though, right? You're in HR now. You were selling DeWalt.
Power tools
up and down the Wasatch Front
in a yellow truck.
In a yellow truck.
How do you go from that to? Yeah, we could be here all day, telling you my story, but
we'll make sure. I know you got to get out. We'll make sure we
keep
track of the time.
That's right. So yeah, so from there, I actually had one of my best friends growing up. His dad started. It was a big real estate investor, and then in the mid '90s, maybe it was even before that, invested into a home builder, a company that built homes back in Arizona. And about that time, so back up a little bit. So after I did summer sales, I went and worked for New Skin, basically for about 3 years to put me through school. My last year, my brother started a mortgage company. And this is back when rates were probably about 7%, which at the time was as low as they'd been. In fact, I remember my first refinance, helping a lady refinance, was I locked her in at 7 1/8. And she gave me a hug. She's like, "This is the best rate." Can you imagine that now?
No.
And
I don't want to.
You would punch somebody in the face.
You'd punch, yeah, exactly. And I still remember it was in Cedar Hills, and I drove up there with a mortgage application to fill it out on her couch by hand to just help her start the loan process. So my brother started this company and said, "Hey, do you want to?" People are refinancing left and right. This was you didn't need to have a license yet. Passed the certification test, so I just literally started with no knowledge on how to do mortgage financing. And my brother said, here's a form, here's a pen, drive to Cedar Hills, not even having a clue what he didn't even walk me through how to fill out the uniform application. So I'm sitting on her couch with a pen, literally just, okay, what's your name, your address? So anyway, for about that last year, I did mortgages, so I learned the industry. Well, fast forward to after I'd been with DeWalt for a couple of years, my buddy called me and he said, "Hey, my dad's company is starting to do business with a finance company, and they're going to bring financing in-house. And by doing that, the home market in Arizona just started exploding. it's been Metro Phoenix has been exploding for decades, but They were really starting to start into that fastest growing, metro area in the country. So all these home builders were saying, hey, if you'll use our finance company, we'll give you an incentive to help pay your closing costs or to put upgrades for your carpet or tile or whatever. And he said, they're closing so many loans. We need somebody that can speak Spanish, because the Hispanic market in Phoenix was taken off too. So he said, would you be interested? And I know you did loans with your brother. And I just thought this would be a great opportunity, because if you can make a few $1,000s for every loan you're closing, which was easy money at that time. So we kind of chased that. And deep down inside, I'm thinking this whole time, hey, this is my chance to get back to Arizona, because I loved Arizona. So I talked to my wife, and we thought, hey, this is a good opportunity. Let's do it. So
Any kids at that time?
Yes, actually. This was in 2001. So my son was a year old.
Okay.
Yeah. So we said, hey, why not? I mean, my parents still lived there. We've got some family, let's give it a shot. So we just kind of said, all right, filled up our U-Haul. We just bought a townhouse, so we decided to keep it up here. We'll just rent it out. Let's just do this. We moved down there, and it was, for 2 years, it was amazing. And I'd made more money than I'd ever, good money, but not like great money. But to me, to a newlywed, I was like, wow, this is a good industry. Did that for about 2 years, and then at that mark, they actually got acquired by a huge home builder that basically came in and just kind of said, all right, everybody out, and
just cleaned house.
Yeah. And the timing probably was good, because actually not long before that, my wife's husband, my wife's father had passed away actually in our home in Arizona while visiting. So it was a rough go. They came to visit. They wanted to see our house. He got sick. We rushed him to the hospital. It's just such a sad story. But anyway, ultimately passed away. And not long after that, this acquisition happened, and we just felt like, here's my mother-in-law now, widow. My wife was really close with her, and she said, let's go back to Utah. And it just felt right. Yeah. So we decided to move back up here, and we did. But I loved Arizona, but it was the best decision we ever made.
Yeah.
Because that led me to the next thing that you're probably going to ask about, but we'll see. I'll leave it at that, and then you can.
Well, no, to
where'd
give it,
you go?
Where'd you go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we need to know that we want to cover.
So this is at this pivotal moment is when the whole shift to eventually where I'm at today happened. So I'm basically wrapping things up in Arizona, and a longtime friend who I grew up with, love their family. His name is Scott Driggs. Do you know Scott Driggs? Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
He lives in South Jordan. He owns Driggs Search International. It's a recruiting firm. Well, he had just left Utah because he kind of busted his chops here with an agency to learn how to recruit, and then after a while was like, hey, I can do this on my own and become a headhunter. Well, he had a non-compete, so he couldn't compete in Utah, so he moved back to Arizona to build up his book of business there. Well, right about that time, we were, I think, at lunch or something on my way back to Utah, and he said, hey, a lot of my clients are in Utah still, but I can't work those until I have this non-compete. And I don't remember if it was 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was, but would you be interested in learning how to recruit or becoming a recruiter? And I thought, because I kind of left the DeWalt thing because I just didn't love sales. It was kind of back to that whole, I'm really good at relationships and I love building up the relationship, but I didn't love closing the deal.
Yeah.
The pressure of a quota, and it just wasn't, I don't know, it gave me anxiety.
Yeah, recruiting is kind of, that's just selling people to, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So in my mind, I'm thinking, because he told me basically, it wouldn't be on a salary. It's like a commission deal. You place people, you'll make a commission off of their placement fee, which nowadays, you use a headhunter, they're going to charge you anywhere from 15 to 30% of that person's first year salary in a fee. So the money's really good in recruiting.
Yeah.
But I had no experience, and so I'm like, we didn't even really have anything. We were going to move back. I'd interviewed with University of Phoenix. They needed to hire like a manager of one of their campuses. So I had a couple interviews, but we were just kind of a crapshoot. We're just going to move, and this kind of fell into my lap. And I thought, maybe. So he said, why don't you come by my office in Mesa or Tempe, I think it was in Mesa, and just see what we do and see if you like it. And so I did. I spent a couple days with him and a few of his staff, which were also friends of mine that I grew up with. And I thought, I can do this. Like I can build relationships. I love people. I love to talk. And my sale is, I'm not selling you a product, but I'm selling you an opportunity to make your life better by getting a job. And so to me, it's the ultimate sale because you're building the relationship, you're selling, but there's no quota other than if you recruit for a company, which we have now, is you've got to hire enough people, but the stress and the pressure isn't there because you've got applicants coming in, you're sourcing, you're doing all these things that are building a pipeline. And so I took a chance and did it and came up here and started literally, this is pre-LinkedIn. In fact, LinkedIn basically started, this is in 2003. LinkedIn was just kind of starting to get going. I had a Rolodex of business cards from like when I was...
Like your own business cards that you've kept, like just over the years.
Over the years of people I'd met. And I thought, man, maybe this is the only starting point I have. So I started calling phone numbers. Hey, what company are you with now? Do you guys need any positions filled? And then one day I remember my buddy Scott came in and I said, what's the best way to find... Because I needed new business to supplement helping him out with some of his placements. He picked up the phone book and put it on the desk, and he's like, "Start calling." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Had I known that, honestly, I probably wouldn't have done it because cold calling sucks.
Yes, it does.
Right? It's just everyone. You have to do it. Businesses have to do it. Well, back then, because there was no other way. We weren't buying leads. There was no internet, like, pay-per-click, and it just wasn't a thing. And so I started calling out of the phone book. My first big client was CBiz in Salt Lake. They do accounting.
Yeah.
And I landed a phone call with one of the partners, and it was perfect timing. And he said, actually, we need to hire some junior accountants. Sure, I'll give you a shot. So I thought, you got to be kidding me. So I cold called, and I went and met with him, and he said, I need 3 accountants, and I filled those, and then I met with some mortgage companies because I knew that industry, and they needed some processors and some underwriters, and I kind of started gaining some momentum, and I thought, hey, I like this. This is good. But then the market kind of took a turn, and basically after about a year, overnight, I had nothing. And at this point, I'm going, this is
like what, like 2004 or 5-ish?
2004. I'm trying to remember. All I remember is it was like not a time to be a recruiter. And I went home one day and I told my wife, I was like, I don't know what we're going to do because my pipeline's drying up. We're straight commission. And so as I was recruiting, I thought, I wonder if I can recruit myself into a job. Which is what I did ultimately. So,
which makes sense. That'd be somewhat easy to do.
You
know everybody to call and see if they got open. Who do you need right now?
That's right. And so we started working with this client. They sold banking software. They were later acquired. They were called Banker Systems. Eventually, Wolters Kluwer Financial. It's a huge global company. So they had an opportunity open up in Salt Lake, and it covered 5 states. Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, and Montana. Huge states. And I'm thinking, do I want to get back into this, And I'm on the road, literally going to every teeny little town in like Cody, Wyoming, Laramie, Bozeman, Montana, Elko, Nevada, Reno. I'm driving, we'd bought a Maxima, so I had pretty good gas mileage. I'm driving all over 5 states. So I took it, but I'm back in sales. Because recruiting dried up, and I'm going, this is not, but it was a means to an end. I'm like,
you're visiting banks.
teeny little, like if you drive through Malad, Idaho, and you see Bank of Idaho, or I don't even remember the name of it. I'm stopping at every little bank.
Did you stop at Stockman Bank?
Probably. What town was it?
Montana?
I bet I did. I went to Bozeman, Missoula, Billings, all those little towns.
Yeah.
Walking in, trying to sell them, $100,000 software, and everything from like the little deposit slips. Like this company basically supplied banks with everything. So anyway, I did that for 2 more years.
Jeez.
Or was it 3?
And never hit a deer.
Never hit a deer. All driving through Kalispell.
Dude, that's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, you have driven. How many miles have you driven?
Oh, easily over 1 million.
That's a lot.
I mean,
That's a lot of miles.
the cool thing was though, I got paid. Back then, it was like 35 cents a mile. My paychecks from mileage reimbursement were bigger than what I was making in commissions. It was tough. Like we were kind of a small fish in a big pond, and I'm trying to go up against the big dogs selling software, and this is now software. I'm like, hey, this is kind of the launch of SaaS.
Yeah.
Before I even knew what SaaS was, and it was brutal.
So 2 years of driving all over the place.
And now by this time I've got kid number 2, young kids. I hate it because I'm staying in these rinky-dink motels in Rawlins, Wyoming at like 40 below, going, I don't like this. And anyway, so then I left. I was like, I don't like this. Went into another gig, and I started got back into the building industry, selling windows for Milgard. I don't know if you've ever seen Milgard windows.
I know that name.
It's a good window. And I'm like,
Just all sorts of plugs from B-Fish,
Right?
DeWalt,
yeah,
Milgard windows.
But I knew the industry. I knew how to sell to like contractors. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, I can do this. But I'm like, when am I going to get a chance? Because I don't love this. I don't love sales, but I'm okay at it. So anyway, I left the software thing, went back into sales for selling in the building industry. And I'm not going to tell you that whole story other than I was with them for about a couple years.
Yeah.
And I went to lunch because they were, then again, actually that was it 08 when the market crashed
Yeah,
again?
uh-huh.
So I was with them when the market crashed. So obviously no one's building homes.
Yeah.
And that's when I was there. And I'm thinking, I'm a lucky guy. Just kidding. Because every time I go somewhere.
Yeah. Just
So I'm sitting with one of my colleagues in Cabela's at their little food court up here at the point of the mountain in 08. And I'm telling you, the reason I say I'm lucky is because every time I've had a position, and this is going to come full circle to why I think the power of your network, and if there's a message today that I can tell the viewers, that the power of your network is everything. Because I'm sitting, all those jobs that I just talked about, never once really did I apply for them. It was either somebody I knew or a friend of a friend. I mean, I haven't, and I don't recommend everybody do this, but I haven't like polished a resume in 20 years. So I'm sitting in this Cabela's.
Yeah, you would not recommend that.
I would not recommend that. Yeah, I would not
Yeah,
recommend it because you need to do your due diligence. You need to build your resume, but building your network simultaneously,
Right?
Because opportunities come through your network. And I'm sitting in Cabela's eating a burger, talking to this colleague of mine, just like, what are we going to do? I mean, they were laying people off. I'd survived a couple layoffs because I'd actually closed the Hyatt place right up here across the freeway by the Real Salt Lake. I think it's called the Hyatt place. I sold that account, and every one of that was during this 08 market crash. Well, they built this hotel, and I landed that deal, and so they put however many hundreds of windows are in that building, which kind of saved my bacon for that year or that half a year because it was a big contract. But I knew once that kind of dried up that I was probably next. And I'm sitting there eating my burger, and in walks a friend. Do you know Nick Greer?
Oh, I know Nick.
In walks Nick
Love
Greer.
Nick.
And I'm sitting there eating a burger, and I hadn't seen Nick. I grew up with Nick in Arizona.
Okay.
And he looks at me, and I looked at him, and we gave each other a big old hug, and he basically said, "What are you doing these days?" And I was like, well, and he could tell we had our Milgard golf shirts on. And I think he could tell, well, maybe now isn't a good opportunity to tell you to come work for me because I'm sitting with my colleague. But he threw me his business card and he said, I'd love to chat. Give me a call.
What company was he? It was the marketing.
One-on-one marketing.
One-on-one marketing.
Yep.
And probably recently after, so you went and worked for him, I'm guessing.
So I went and worked, long story.
How much after that did he sell?
So 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So this was in 2008, and one-on-one, because of the crash, like everyone was going back to get their degrees online. Well, they were the largest generator of like for-profit universities to get their leads. So University of Phoenix and Kaplan, all these online universities were buying leads through Nick's company, and I think I was employee like 25.
Yeah, because I remember those years. It was interesting how many people, and this is probably true to the pattern of every recession.
Yeah,
that people go back to school.
People go back to school. That's right, and that's what was happening, and it was crazy. I mean, they went. So he hired me kind of in a hybrid role to build. To kind of sell. At that point, it wasn't really even recruiting yet, but on the side, though I was still working for those two companies, Wolters Kluwer and Milgard, I'd occasionally do a deal on the side to place, because I still liked recruiting and it was some money in it. So occasionally a friend would say, "Hey, do you know anybody?" So I'd negotiate like a little fee or whatever. So deep down, I still really enjoyed recruiting, but in 2008. That was not the time to get back into recruiting. So Nick eventually hired me, and I worked a little bit on there. He owned a couple other domains that were kind of doing some leads, injury.com and one-on-one. And I was there I think it was a year or so. And one day he called me into his office, and he said, "I have an idea." And I was like, "I'm all ears." And he said, "We're about ready to explode, and we need to grow." And he literally said this. I was in the shower and I had this idea, and I was thinking, that's kind of weird. And he said, we need to grow fast, and I know you've done recruiting in the past. How would you feel about coming into HR? They had one HR employee, his VP of HR, and building our team. And I literally felt this like emotion of finally, like,
really?
Yeah. I was like, all this time, it felt so right, because I'm like, this is going to be this is the time. This is going to be because in a time when nobody was really recruiting, we were, because people were buying leads and we needed to build a marketing.
You're hiring when people aren't necessarily hiring.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were hiring. That's where I first learned how to identify good talent, because we had so many options to choose because people were out of jobs. So we would interview 15 candidates for one hire, and we could pick the best of the best. And at one-on-one, we filled that company with such stellar talent that I still today keep in touch with. Many of them I've worked with multiple times. I've recruited them a couple different times since. But I worked for Nick for 4 years. Built recruiting, started learning how to do events and kind of the culture side of it. Still had no traditional HR experience. After about 4 years, there was a particular presidential election that modified the way that those folks acquired like leads online. President Obama. And basically overnight, their business started to really suffer because they couldn't sell the leads like they normally could before. So Nick basically came and said, "Hey, we're going to have to downsize." And that's when he started looking at, that was right after they sold. So he had sold kind of at the top. Peak. Yes. Great timing for
Obama
comes in, changes
things up.
He comes to me and says, "Hey, things aren't looking great." Well, once again, no joke, about a week after, he basically said, "We're going to have to let you go with half our company. Not only are we not hiring, we can't keep a recruiter around because you're." And he told me later, he goes, "That was one of the toughest decisions because we were friends. He's like, I got to lay my friend off."
Yeah.
About a week later, a guy I had met while I was recruiting in my early days with Nick had gone to Domo. And he called me up and he said, "Hey, Domo is things had started to improve. The market was 2012. Things were going
They're
crazy.
coming back. Yeah.
Silicon Slopes is starting to get some momentum. And he said, Domo needs, like, we need help. And he said, would you be interested?
I forgot you were at Domo.
I was at Domo.
Yeah.
Not very long.
That's,
Not very long.
I knew the
That's
one-on-one
right. I remember
marketing.
that. I remember it wasn't a long stint there.
I knew the marketing in Domo. I had no idea about DeWalt and Milgard.
Right?
Yeah, I had no
Yeah.
idea.
So
Well,
Domo
there's more.
after-
We have more time.
This is good. I love this. I hope you enjoy this because this is extremely interesting to us.
Well, I love talking about it. It might be boring for you
No,
guys,
no.
but
Well-
it's my life. It's so
Yeah.
I have such a passion because I now, and we'll get to the end, but looking back, it all fell into place and I mean, I'm a guy, man of faith, and so I think things happen to me for a reason, and things have not been. I mean, I've had struggles along the way, like professionally, personally, and I've just realized through all of this that, I mean, I guess I'll use a quote from my man Tommy Monson. He says, never let a problem to be solved be more important than a person to be loved. And I've thought all along this way, like trying to solve my own problem of being happy in my career, really came back to not worrying about what it is I do, but do what I love. And that's loving people. And I truly love building, and I have a passion for people. And I don't care if you're selling, if you're in HR, if you're an accountant, if you're doing what you love and you love the people you do it with, like careers become fun and it's easier. And anyway, so I don't know why I got off on that tangent, but I went to Domo for a year, and they were growing so fast. I went as a senior recruiter, basically. We were hiring myself about 20-ish, 20 to 5 salespeople a month.
Really?
Just me. And then, my friend Greg was hiring for like tech positions and marketing and finance. I mean, we're trying to grow because, Josh James is taking money in. Domo's exploding.
Spend it all.
Spend it.
Yeah.
Gotta spend it.
Take it. You got to spend it.
Yeah. I was eating 3 meals a day. They'd stock their cabinets with like Pop-Tarts. And
yeah, I mean, they had the drink coolers.
Food.
Coolers. Yeah, they had
Monster. That's where I probably had my first Monster. So I'd get to work early. And now I know why they did 3 meals a day is because you needed to work there that many hours to get the job done. Yeah. I mean, I was working till 8 o'clock at night. So I'd work through lunch. They'd cater lunch every day. And they might still be doing this. And then about 6 o'clock, I'm going, man, I still have 2 hours of work. Sure enough, in comes Costa Vida, Cafe Rio. Here comes dinner. It wasn't great for the home life because, my awesome wife's making dinner and I'm eating it. And then I'm going home feeling bad. I'm like, well, I guess I should eat.
Putting on some pounds.
I'm putting on pounds because I'm eating 2 dinners.
Yeah.
And I was there about a year, and my neighbor, who is the CEO of Entrada, kind of saw what was happening at Domo. And I was literally... we were both singing in the choir for our congregation. He came up to me and he's like, hey, at choir practice. And I was like, all right. And he's like, hey, I want to chat with you about something. And we were friends but never talked a lot. And I said, okay. And he said, do you want to come by my house tonight about 9 o'clock? And I thought, sure. I mean, and so I'm thinking, what on earth does he want to talk to me about? I had literally no clue. I knew his company was growing because I'd seen at the time Property Solutions.
Yeah.
And I'd seen their billboards, the whole party in the back, business in the front, party in the back. I was like, this company's doing amazing things, but never in a million years did I think what was about to happen was going to happen. So I showed up about 9 o'clock, and he said, come on in. We went in his family room, sat on his big old huge like sectional couch. And literally for 3 hours till midnight, he was told me the story of what he was building. And at the time, they were about 300 employees at Property Solutions. And he basically said, we are, just like Nick had told me, he's like, we are going to explode. Property management is taken off, and I need somebody to come head up my HR team. And inside, I'm thinking, heck yes. But also I'm going, holy crap, I have no idea what I'm getting into. Because I knew recruiting like with the best of them. And I love recruiting. It's still my passion. Of all the HR, business functions and units, I love recruiting. And I said, Dave, I don't have a degree in HR. And he literally looked at me and he goes, I don't care. I want you to build culture and I want you to build a team similar to what you did at One-on-One and at Domo, and the rest will work out. We have great people already at Entrata that know they know the law, they know workers' compensation, they know FMLA, they know ADA, all of the HR things that since I've spent the last 7.5 years learning. And he basically said, what would it take? And I was just like, I wanted to be all political.
Did you say $1 billion?
I should have. I should have.
He might have paid it.
He might have. But I've always been kind of conservative and I think I underestimated my own ability maybe. And I still do that today. Sometimes I don't maybe feel like I deserve what I've got the last 7 or 8 years, because I feel really blessed to have the opportunity that Dave actually gave to me. And that was a chance. And he told me, and I've actually told him this 3 months ago when I called him to resign. I said, you probably don't ever know this, and I don't think I've told you, but it took another person seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself. Really, like that's what it boils down to, because he saw that I had this passion for people, and that's what he wanted. And I didn't even know what he wanted. He just said, I want you to come build a recruiting team. I want you to build the HR team, and we need to hire like crazy. And so I said, let's, pay me this, which in hindsight, I should have said, pay me this. Because he's like,
double.
Yeah. Because he said, well, let's work something together. And he got back to me and he said, yeah, we can do that. And I thought for me at the time, that was like a stretch, which it was compared to what I'd been making. But now I was like, dang it, I should have asked for another 50 or, whatever. Yeah. But I laughed because they took care of me. And
who was on the team there when you went to Property Solutions?
So executive team or
your
HR?
Team, HR team.
So Heather Gagan, who's now my replacement at Entrata. She's now the VP of HR. Bradley Creer, he was the director. Yeah, he was heading it up. He was a director.
Yeah, I remember Bradley.
And I actually stay in touch with Brad. We kind
Where's he at now?
Oh, he went to the company that Pugs. They make all the sunglass stuff.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. But it's right here down on the freeway.
He went there, but he just recently went somewhere else, and I'd have to find out. But we stay in touch. We text. We talk about.
So Heather was there. Bradley was there.
Bradley, a girl named Jen. We had Jen Hall. I'm trying to think who else. Angela Kavanaugh, who's now back. She left, went to Adobe, and then I think Divvy, and then Homey, and now she's back. Yeah. People leave and they're probably taking bets over there of how long it'll be before I go back. But yeah, so they were there, and then over time we just hired such a stellar team. I mean, Entrata, it was a tough decision to ultimately leave. But I went there, had this most amazing 7.5 years of my career. I would not be sitting here today talking to you guys if Dave hadn't given me a chance. Because you guys know the growth that Property Solutions had. We rebranded, I think, was it 2015, moved into a new building in 2016. They're still growing like crazy. And we went from about, I think I was employee like 312. And when I left in August, we were just under 1,200. So almost quadrupled in size. Dang. And so
to cap it off, you are now where?
So to cap it off, I'm at an amazing company. They're called LiveView Technologies.
Okay. And tell us what they do.
Yeah. So you've probably seen, it's funny, we're now going to talk about Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart again.
Enter B-Fish and LiveView.
Full circle.
Full circle. No joke. Enter B-Fish and LiveView. Put a plug in for big box stores. So you've probably seen recently, even at job sites. In fact, the DOT, the Department of Transportation at UDOT, YDOT, CDOT, all the Intermountain Departments of Transportation, we build a mobile unit. It's basically built on a trailer that you tow behind a truck. And I'm not sure exact dimensions. It's probably 6 feet by 8 or 10 feet. And it's all solar powered. And in the middle of this trailer is a telescoping pole that goes up about 20 to 25 feet with cameras, live view cameras. That's why it's called Live View. The cool thing about Live View, and we're exploding, and that's one reason I could later tell you why they hired me. But these companies, we live in crazy times now. I mean, there's theft left and right. There's crimes happening in parking lots. And our technology is such that a camera attached to the corner of the building just isn't going to capture what our
everything and what
our technology does. So these cameras are basically, and you can set them up to where it's 180 degree, or we can add extra cameras to do a full 360. And the reason they're growing, and they've been around, 15 years. But 3 years ago, they signed Walmart. And we know, Walmart's king. They want a unit at every store.
So these are just parked in the parking lot in a stall.
Yep, parked in a parking lot. And the reason it's unique is so it's completely off the grid, meaning we're not connected to electrical. I say off the grid. We're not relying on power from Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot. These units are solar powered. So they're kind of, when we ship them, we fold them down, but they kind of butterfly out. These solar panels kind of butterfly out, and they tilt them south facing, so the sun hits them. It generates, that sends power into these boxes that are built into the trailer that have essentially like 8 car batteries inside. The solar powered charges the batteries, that then sends the charge up to our edge controller, which is the kind of the brains behind. It's more than just surveillance. Like, the true benefit is the technology in the software to be able to capture the information, the data that we're now capturing, which is facial recognition, license plate detection. They're working on a product that will detect gunshots and be able to tell what kind of a gun it was.
So like license plate, let's say there was an Amber Alert out for this license plate, that would get sent to that. And if it saw that car, it would detect that and say, alert. It would alert. This car is in my parking lot.
Yep, it would alert. It's amazing. In fact, I just saw a video from one of our clients who had a shipping or building materials business. I don't remember what state they were in. They caught a car pulling in the middle of the night, and you can set the camera up in zones. So if there's movement that breaches a particular zone, it will send an alert to the authorities, however they want to set it up. And it went through that zone, and then it got right up close to the chain link fence that was protecting the building materials, and it passed through that zone. It sent another alert, and sure enough, they broke through the fence, and they were stealing materials in the middle of the night. Well, what they didn't realize is that it had already notified the police, and they were able to get there and track the person down, and because it had been happening for a while, and they caught them. And every company now, Walmart signed, Lowe's signed, Home Depot signed. We've got companies like Kroger's, grocery stores all over the country. Yeah. These departments of transportation. I won't say others because we haven't signed them on yet, but we're talking big companies that if I mentioned would blow your mind that are interested in our product. And so
I think I saw one of these units.
You've probably they're all over. I drove by Lowe's coming over here, and I saw one. Yeah.
Fox Hollow Golf Course.
There's probably one at Fox Hollow.
I'm telling you, it was like a little trailer, white, can you turn on lights that blink almost like blue and red?
Yep. There's strobe lights, LEDs. Lights. Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked them, like, what the heck are you doing? They're like, well, people come in and they steal our golf balls. So they park it right at the edge of the driving range.
Love it.
And I'm pretty sure that was it. I thought they rented it from the police department or something, because that's just how it kind of looked.
Yeah, I'll have to check. They're probably one of our. It's got to be our technology.
You're describing the exact same thing that I saw.
Yeah, So anyway, it's amazing. So the executive team, they have assembled the most top-notch.
So when did the company start?
05.
05.
Yeah. Literally, our CEO and co-founder started it in his garage. He had the vision. They started the first unit that they mounted to a pole, I think, up in Deer Valley on a job site. And that was kind of their original plan, was to do like pole mounted, even for the DOT, because you drive to St. George, most of the cameras you see are actually live view cameras. But then it kept growing, just super slow growth, but steady and steady and steady. And then builders and contractors and even, people that can afford it, we'll put them up. I'll see them on job sites, a big home that's going up and they want to rent it for 6 months. And then they land at these big accounts, and our projections are literally off the charts for the kind of revenue that's going to happen in the next 4 years. And so
that's why they need the B-Fish, dude. Come in.
I don't know about that.
Put together a team.
But that's what they want.
Is this same thing, like as in the one-on-one, like, hey, we need you to create a team?
We need people.
Everything. So
yeah.
Did they have anybody in HR?
No. Well, they did. So they've had an employee. She's amazing. She wasn't hired into HR, but a couple of years ago said, hey, we got to have someone that can process payroll and deal with HR issues, because they were starting to get some momentum and grow. And so she volunteered, has been amazing. She actually, though, is transitioning back out into some of our client services teams. But she did everything: employee complaints, workers' comp claims, verifications of employment, all the payroll. I'm still in the process of hiring a payroll administrator. So once we get that wrapped up. So when I accepted, we didn't have anybody in HR. Between my acceptance and start date, they did hire a friend or a cousin of one of the executives who's amazing. He's now a recruiter / generalist who helps kind of do a little bit of everything. I've since hired another HR manager, brought on another recruiter. I'm hopefully hiring another recruiter this weekend. And then I think with that payroll administrator, we'll be set for probably at least a year. But the real growth is happening in sales, marketing, client services, development. I've got 10 new recs I just posted for Java engineers and software architects. I mean, I average about 8 or 9 offers a week that I'm sending out since I started. Jeez. I think I was like employee 150, and we're already at 200 in just 2 months.
Wow.
So it's exciting.
Crazy
man.
growth.
Yeah.
You have on your business card the B-Fish effect?
No.
Like that's something put on the resume. Yeah, I know you haven't polished it in 20 years.
Maybe I should.
It's just this is something I can't explain.
Director.
But there is something called the B-Fish effect.
Director of the B-Fish effect.
I don't know. I feel really fortunate, to be honest. My career, I don't know, but I love what I do. Like to me, it's just, everyone growing up has a job that you just hate. You get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I got to go clock in, clock out. Or since that transition back in probably 2008, I just don't know that I've ever dreaded getting up to go to work, because I really love what I do. And to build, and it was the hardest career decision I ever made, to leave Entrata. But I had to do it because of the opportunity to build this with this executive team. But I've realized that building is just what's so fun. And yeah, I can, be a VP or an SVP all day long and tell people what I need, but to roll up my own sleeves and go to work is what I love to do. So right now we're negotiating health insurance and biz. We're just building everything, because that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, man.
Amazing.
Are we up against time?
We are. We are up against time.
We got to button it up. You got a little bit.
I got a few minutes. Yeah.
Well, we'll get through this.
Yeah.
But thank you.
That's
I
awesome.
literally, I had no idea about.
I probably talk too much, but
no, this is it. This is exactly what we need.
Okay.
It's
the only thing that sucks about talking too much is you have.
you go away.
Your pizza.
I know, but you know what?
You get to
I'll take this with
though.
me.
Yeah, you'll take another one. Okay.
But that's the whole point of the podcast, is coming back to what Danny's vision of this was just, hey, we don't really want to talk about us at all. We want, we want to just talk about you, the guests, and then anybody that listens to just learn about the person. It's like, hey, introducing Brandon Fish, and then, interesting history, where you were, like just the different places you were, and even if you're talking about personal stuff like getting married while in college. I mean, I think those are interesting things that I think people are interested in people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They are. So, and I'm in the business of people, and I've definitely learned that is really no joke. It's that's the truth.
Awesome.
Well, that's awesome.
Thanks, man.
This is a good part of the podcast, though. You'll enjoy this.
Yes, we're gonna switch gears.
Should my heart start
a little bit
pounding a little bit?
Well, has there ever been a time where maybe you should have got arrested but you didn't?
No way. No.
Maybe. I hate to admit this. Are you asking like for an example, or just yes or no?
Did you almost get arrested?
Well,
I didn't almost get arrested, but I probably should have.
Should have got arrested.
But I was in high school and I had no clue that what had happened would have got me in trouble. Literally, I think I was innocent enough to know, like, whoa, dude. And the reason I found that out is because my dad was an FBI agent, and he looked at me and said, if you ever do anything to embarrass me or the Bureau, or if I have to come bail you out, you're going to sit there for a while. But I didn't realize that what I'd done may have potentially got me in trouble.
There's a little color in the past there. That's good.
Yeah, it may have involved some dry ice and some stuff, but that's all I'll say.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Like a bomb.
We'll leave it there.
2 liter
we
bottle.
all know what dry ice leads to when you're a teenager.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, it was
okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
You probably didn't want me to go that far, but you asked.
We'll
And if you blew up a mailbox, that's
Yeah.
a federal offense.
There may have been somebody else that I asked, and they said,
Dry ice. Same thing.
No, they said, ask him if there's a time in his life when he should have been arrested, but he wasn't.
Wow,
Who would have
maybe
known
it's
that?
some, and it wouldn't have been someone with the dry ice. Is there? Maybe there's something.
Johnny.
Something else. Johnny knows.
Is there something else?
I don't know. That wasn't the
arrests?
dry. What would he have talked? Johnny, we got to have a talk.
Maybe he's just throwing that out there, like.
I love it, dude. Little gems from Johnny.
Maybe something to do with the double-decker bus, but maybe we drove that double-decker bus across the country going 35 miles an hour, but that would have just got me a ticket.
Yeah.
Not arrested. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
All right, I got 3 songs. Just gonna give you the lyrics. You got to tell me who the artist and the song is.
Oh man, I am not gonna be good. I love music, but I am not gonna be good at this.
I got some 90s hip hop.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hey.
Okay.
All right.
They listen to this in Arizona and Utah
Yeah.
and Provo.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. You drew a picture of my morning, but you couldn't make my day. I'm rocking and you're yawning, but you never look my way. I'm looking down you darling, in every single way. Your funny flow is foreign, and a green card's on the way. I ain't got shit to do with shampoo, but watch your head and shoulder. Brother older, bold enough to fold ya. Yeah, yo, I told ya. Arrayed, afraid, I made and played, plus a funky fit. So save your flips and tricks for that music and that monkey bit. Triggers from the Grill Town, Ill Town.
Dude, no clue.
Dude. Oh man. See, I enjoy a good hip hop song.
Hip Hop Hooray?
Hip Hop Hooray.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, that's who was that?
I was gonna say LL Cool J, but
Naughty by Nature.
Naughty
by
by
Nature.
Nature. Not that I hate you.
yeah. And see, I'm not a big. I enjoy a good hip hop song, but if it was country or grunge or like U2 or Coldplay, or well, that's not 90s. I'd probably have a better shot at it. But
I
we'll
could
see.
have got you with some Nirvana.
You
maybe.
probably would. You could have got me with some Nirvana. Well, they got big kind of after my mission. I didn't really listen to them before, but.
All right, this one I had to take out the first 2 lines, not because of language, but because if I said you would know exactly.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Okay. Ready to make an entrance, so back on up, because you know about to rip shit up. Give me the microphone first so I can bust like a bubble. Compton and Long Beach together. Now you know you in trouble. Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby.
Ain't nothing. Okay. I know the song, but I don't even remember who.
Is the level that pays, man.
All right.
Do you know who it is?
I can't.
Snoop. No, Dr. Dre.
Featuring.
Snoop.
Yes.
See, you guys are good. This is not my genre.
Because the first line was
huge.
1, 2, 3 into the full. Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would have given it away.
Yeah.
All right. So this song.
Yeah. Sorry.
If I gave you the oh my gosh, the chorus, you would get it.
But are you even sure? Because I
think you
totally
would.
failed on the first two.
No, I think you would get this one.
And this is hip hop still.
Yeah, this is
rap.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is and I thought this was the coolest song, man. I had this one.
You
had
love
this one
this
memorized.
song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Have you ever met a girl that you tried to date, but a year to make love, she wanted you to wait?
Oh.
Let me tell you a story of my situation. I was talking to this girl from the U.S. nation. The way that I met her was on tour of the concert. She had long hair and a short mini skirt. I just got on stage, dripping, pouring with sweat. I was walking through the crowd, and guess what I met? I whispered in her ear, "Come to the picture booth so I can ask you questions, see if you unapprove." I asked her name. She said, "Blah blah blah." She had 9-10 pants and a very big bra.
Oh,
I took a couple
I know the
flicks and
song.
she was
I know
enthused.
the song, but I can't think of the artist.
I said, "How'd you like the show?" She said, "I was very amused."
So was that?
I started throwing.
Is your
bass.
background all hip hop?
No, it was just.
I know the song. I totally know the song.
I just thought it'd be good.
I thought you were gonna pull out like
some.
When I sprung the question, she acted kind of strange. Then when I asked, "Do you have a man?" she tried to pretend. She said, "No, I don't. I only
This
have
is
a
impressive,
friend."
Danny. This
on.
is a side of you I did not know. I mean, I thought you were gonna ask me like a Garth Brooks song.
I'm not even going for this. Well, I'm gonna You got what I need.
Oh, dude.
But you say we just get friends.
Okay.
You went a little too fast. If you would have slowed down the lyrics, I think I would have got through it because that's a slower song.
Yeah. When I know the song, I
good.
Well,
just
that's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I took blah blah's word for it at this time. I thought just having a friend couldn't be no crime.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like I want to get up and do some moves.
What's
man.
the name of the guy again?
That is the Biz Markie, the diabolical Biz Markie.
Wow.
Just a friend.
Yeah.
One hit wonder.
Was he a
That was
little?
about
Was
He's
he
like a beatboxer.
Was he on the spectrum? No, I'm being
Maybe.
serious.
I know.
I'm not even joking about that because I always remember
spectrum.
there was like a video of that song, and I remember thinking like, I think he might be a little.
I don't know. He's like a big time
just
beatboxer.
like a learning disability or some type of speech impediment. Then he just made it as a rapper, or maybe that was a different rapper.
I don't know. I mean, he.
Wow.
I mean, a little bit of a speech, yeah, but he's. I don't know. But he could.
Impressive
He was a beatbox guy.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
All right.
Yeah, that was an F for me because I'm.
0 for 3.
Well, I think.
Oh,
I mean, you
0 for
knew.
3.
Like
knew-
once you heard it, you're like, okay, I
I
got
knew
it.
that one, but again, I didn't know the artist. Like I said back then, I'm a huge. I love the '80s music, early '90s, and I love country. I mean, I love cranking Taylor Swift with the windows down with my daughter. I literally like kind of every genre, but
Well, I was like, okay,
That's tough.
maybe you told me about like your road trip with Hannah,
yeah,
like a bunch of hip. Like I was like, maybe he's got a hip hop bone in him.
We
you know?
did,
So
but
we'll
it
go
was-
some '90s.
yeah, it was new. It was like more the newer stuff.
Okay.
I mean, we had the Make It Rain, some of
Yeah.
that stuff. Of course, it was all edited, but
Yeah.
you can't drive to Rexburg, Idaho, without edited music.
No.
So, yeah, those were
City
good times.
ordinance.
All right, we got would you rather questions. The
All right,
only
finish it
rule
up.
is you have to answer. You got to pick one.
So I
One or the
can't
other.
say.
You
can't
can't
say
say,
neither.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
You
You
have
just
to
got to
pick
pick
one.
one.
Are they embarrassing? Or
Some of them, yeah, are going to be a little like they
Oh.
both suck, but you got to pick the
Okay,
lesser
so
of
there's,
two evils.
there's really not. Okay, so one of them's not like. Of course, I'd rather do this. It's
maybe there might
maybe.
be.
All
I
right.
don't know. Yeah.
That was a simultaneous maybe. So
Well, we've done this is a long-standing little funny thing that Danny and I have done for years. The
Okay.
would you rather?
Okay.
So
Love
we
going
have one that we always ask.
which is, would you rather have Barry Bonds take his bat and do a home run swing right to the middle of your back,
Oh,
or
But you've had back
Tiger
problems.
Woods takes his driver right to your shin, swinging, tees, basically like he's teeing it up, and you're just looking at him, and he's just swinging.
and you're just right after
on
the ball.
right on the
It's-
tip of your shin, the driver. So Barry Bonds to the back,
Oh,
or
dude.
Tiger Woods to the shin.
So
And I know you've had back problems.
I've had back problems, and so you probably know my answer. I think initially the shin thing would probably hurt worse, but because of my back problems and knowing how painful that is.
And assuming like you have no back problems
Oh, okay.
at the time,
At the time,
but thinking
you'd certainly
what
have them
could
after.
happen.
You probably have them after.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'd go with the shin, the driver to the shin, because it would clearly shatter your tibia, but I think you could get surgery and get that fixed. If he breaks your back, you're maybe looking at paralyzation.
Yeah.
So I think I go with the Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
Plus,
most of the people do the Tiger Woods.
when
And
I
it's-
checked, he was 3 under today.
yeah,
So
yeah.
at the
And
Masters.
the Masters is going on right now.
That's
first round.
right.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, so
that's most of the people do.
Yeah.
Like
Do they?
tires,
Okay. Yeah, Barry could swing.
Because they're just
bat.
they're afraid of being paralyzed.
Yeah.
Which you should be.
You should be.
I went back and I just pulled a bunch. So these are we've used all these, but I went back and got some of the ones that I liked. So,
yeah.
Would you rather be constantly itchy or constantly sticky?
Oh. Okay, so I hate being sticky, man. If I get like a candy and I pull like a taffy or a Jolly Rancher and I get some sticky on my finger, I can't stand that. So, but I also hate itching because if you've ever had a bad sunburn,
Oh yeah.
but I think I could deal with the itch more than the sticky. Okay. And is it constant? Like you can't get rid of the sticky?
No, it's just there.
It's forever.
Okay. Oh, dude, that's a tough one. Because the sticky, you could maybe deal with. I think I got to go with the itch.
Itch.
I think I'd rather.
Once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the sticky, you just
itch.
can't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a clean freak, so that would drive me nuts.
Would you rather be turned on every single time you see someone wearing a fedora, or every single time you see someone wearing Crocs?
That's awesome because I exercise up Provo Canyon Parkway because I live at the mouth of Provo Canyon, and there's a guy that runs in his Crocs that I see almost every time.
So every morning you'd just be like, oh, I'm turned on.
So I think I got to go with the Crocs. Yeah, even though, let's go with that one.
Okay.
That's pretty funny. But he runs in them. I think it's the whole zero drop mentality.
Yeah.
His foot's like the Born to Run, if you've ever read that book.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great book.
So I get it. Why?
Tara Umara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Would you rather be alone for the rest of your life or always be surrounded by the most annoying people?
Oh. And here we just got done talking about people for
Yes, and
an hour and a half.
you love people.
And I love people,
But you love yourself.
I don't know if I love myself, but I can deal with myself. But I hate being alone too because I love
Think of the most annoying person that you know. As much as you may love them and they're good people, they are as annoying as hell.
I think I want to be alone.
Going alone. Okay.
Dude,
That's kind of how you have to imagine that one.
yeah.
It's not just, you're kind of annoying. No, you are the most annoying.
Like you just want to either punch them or run
Yeah.
than being alone, which seems horrible, but yeah.
Okay.
Where'd you guys come up with these?
I mean,
It's in your brain. Okay.
I search for some. We make some of them up. Get ideas.
All right.
We do. Good. We actually do a lot of them, but they're a lot worse. Like too hot for TV type. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They're just
probably not my jam.
off mic. You probably.
Yeah.
Would you rather your fingers become as long as your legs, or your legs become as long as your fingers?
Oh gosh, you gotta be kidding me.
Hold on, say that again.
Man.
I know you've done this one before.
Yeah.
So you're
So
saying
your
my fingers are as long as my legs.
Right.
So like,
There's your legs.
and I've got like a
This
35-inch
Right,
inseam.
so I can just I can get you right here, right? Or your
Your
legs
so
become as long
your
as
legs are
fingers.
this long.
But still functional, so you can still
So you
walk
can
on
walk
it, but
like
you
this.
just got your legs, right? Or you're just...
Yeah, so you can still do. I don't think you could do much with 35-inch fingers.
No.
And you're talking all 10.
Yeah.
Your legs are this long, dude. Your feet are. this is. Do you have a knee? There's no knee.
Is it just?
Well, yeah, it's like...
It just pivots at like the hip.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so you still have a knee joint?
Yeah, they still function,
Wow.
but they're just
Can
really
you
short.
add stilts? I could add stilts. I can try to make it work.
You know what?
You could try to make it work.
Here's my. I think because so much of what I do is with my upper body and my hands now,
You
I'd
take the
probably
short
rather
legs.
the short legs.
Yeah, so you just be typing up here.
Or I could modify the desk and the monitor.
Yeah,
and
just have
the,
it down.
Can you imagine? You'd be it'd be an alien because you only
Yeah.
have like the same number of joints. It would take you forever to
You
move
just-
your finger.
Yeah.
Imagine 35-inch finger. There's just no. You couldn't do anything. I mean, we've been golfing.
There's no
You
way
couldn't
you
golf.
do that.
Well, you could at least still.
No way in hell. Your fingers would wrap around the golf club like 5 times.
Yeah,
And you'd be,
definitely the shorter legs.
They have the thick. You just have to get really thick,
your golf club's this thick line. It's just-
like thick grip.
yeah.
Oh man.
Alright.
Yeah. No. That's
Would
good.
you rather have chapped lips that never heal, or terrible dandruff that can't be treated?
Oh man. I think I'd go with the chapped lips.
Oh, I hate chapped lips.
I do too, but I always have chapstick in my pocket, and I can't stand.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it never heals, though. It's just like
But at least you can put chapstick on.
You can put
It just will never
going to get better.
I guess if they're like cracked and bleeding, that's different. But if they're just always dry and chapped, I'd take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather be the greatest player on a crappy team, right? Be like a LeBron James, or the worst player on the best team?
Now, I've been both. That just goes to show you that when I was the best player, the team really was bad. if I'm the best player. You know, I love being surrounded by really talented, good people. So I think I'd rather be the worst player on the best team.
Think about it, if you're the worst player on the best team, you're probably still one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
and you're winning.
You're just
not
never
playing much.
You're never going to get the ring.
No.
You're going to be the best, but your team is so crappy. You're never going to get the ring.
But you're going to get rings being.
You might be an MVP.
You're going to come off the bench once or twice a season with LeBron James.
You're,
right.
You're up by 30. You're going to get some.
But you're still making money.
Matthew Dellavedova
you still got the
Cleveland.
ring.
And you would start on most any other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love talent, so I'd love to be surrounded by amazing athletes and just learn from them.
There we go. Look at this guy. What a positive.
I know.
This guy. Glass half full right here. Would you rather have to talk like Yoda or breathe like Darth Vader?
See, you can hold your breath when you're talking and still sound somewhat good, but talking like Yoda, to me, so much of what I do involves communicating as a people person.
Luke. Let me see your resume.
I think that Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather be hunted by Jason Bourne or Jack Bauer?
Oh, man. I love Jason Bourne movies. I think Hunted by Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Just because, okay.
Now, is the goal to like live, or it's just more like?
Well, it depends on
what
how
you would
either,
enjoy most.
Yeah.
Well,
I love Jason Bourne more, so I want to be hunted by him,
or who wouldn't kill me as fast?
It's a good clarification.
Yeah, or it's however you. I mean, there's no clarification. However you want to look at it. Like, I love Jason Bourne. I'd rather be hunted by him. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that there is more of an evil side to Jack Bauer than Jason Bourne.
Probably.
I think he might have a more interesting way to kill you. Jason Bourne would just shoot you.
Yeah, he was just trained to.
Might do.
That's
true. If he had to get information out of you because you're involved in some terrorist plot, Jack Bauer would do some. He'd go to town.
Get you.
Yeah, he would.
Okay. He would.
Would you rather have your spouse's haircut or your spouse have your haircut?
Oh man. I think her haircut, because I could throw it back in a ponytail or something.
Just the man bun.
You wouldn't want her with short hair.
I love long hair. She knows that. I think I'd rather.
You both wearing ponies.
Yeah.
Well,
just kind of flip that thing,
There's the fishes.
And you can tell. This is actually probably long for me right now. So I think I'd rather
have hers.
Even though I hate that in between stage. I've tried to grow the beard out. It's like and I know I'd hate my hair in between, but I got some curls. I think the long hair might actually look good.
You might rock it. Okay. Would you rather have only one eyebrow? So not like a unibrow, just one eyebrow on one side, or no eyelashes?
Oh man. For looks, because that's a big deal. Yeah, I got to meet with people, trying to get them to convince them to come work for this company.
What would they notice more? No eyelashes, or just they would notice one eyebrow?
I think they'd notice one eyebrow.
I think I'd rather not have the eyelashes because the eyebrow is just like I don't feel like I could ever get their attention. They'd just be staring at that, not even unibrow, just brow, right? Yeah. So I think I'd go with the no eyelashes.
Okay. Do you ever drink LaCroix, whatever it is? Do you like that?
I think it's disgusting.
Okay, good.
So I had one, a friend of mine in the neighborhood. We had an activity with a bunch of youth, and he brought those, and he loves them. And I took a sip and about gagged. So I was like, oh.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah, no, I do not like.
This will work then.
Okay.
Would you rather have to drink LaCroix for the rest? Is that how you say it?
I think it's LaCroix.
LaCroix for the rest of your life, or every time you meet someone new, you have to smell their crotch?
Oh, wow.
It's like we know each other. You wouldn't have to do anything here, but it was like, hey, this is my friend Dave. You shake Dave's hand.
But what
like,
if you? So then you.
So do I have? So what's
like
the proximity of the smelling thing? Oh, so I gotta like get down.
You shake his hand. You just gotta give him a sniff. Just give him a sniff.
That's disgusting.
And they have no idea you're gonna do that.
No. Nope,
oh, so it's like
new.
boom.
So
then you have to.
Or you're drinking
that would be
LaCroix for the rest of your life.
You couldn't go the rest of your life not meeting new people.
No.
You would avoid meeting new people.
I would avoid it, and I can't.
But LaCroix is so bad.
But I,
Dude, that's the greatest. You're contemplating either LaCroix or sniffing crotches.
Or sniffing crotches. Here's the thing, and the reason I've never gone to Diet Coke is because I can't. It tastes like cough syrup, kind of like LaCroix. But from what I understand is if you stick with it long enough, eventually taste can be acquired. I think I just can't go for the crotch sniff. Yeah.
That's probably a good choice.
I'd get a knee to the face,
you
or
would get beat up.
Yeah, and I've got to,
You'd get arrested a lot.
I'd get arrested, which I don't want to do that. So yeah,
you've already almost been arrested a couple times. So okay, last one.
All right.
Got to think about this one. Okay. Would you rather still be breastfeeding? Okay.
So I'm the
you're going to your mom.
Wow.
You're getting breastfed once a day. Okay.
Oh,
or
wow.
your wife has to breastfeed your kids once a day for the rest of their lives.
Oh, this is a lose-lose.
Yeah.
That's what
because my mom and my wife both might end up watching this. So what? Dude, I can't do that to my kids.
It's just like, hey, they're in college. It's like, hey, I'm home for lunch.
But
and then they're gone. Or it's B-Fish going over like, hey,
okay,
Mom, I'm here.
Hey, Mom, I'm thirsty.
It's not that you every meal's
No, it's just
being
one.
breastfed. It's
One
just,
a day.
Just one time a day.
One time a day.
And can it be like a real quick, or is this like you got to get your whole meal?
I mean, I haven't clarified that.
Let's say
I don't know that I can answer this
It's
one.
30 seconds to a minute minimum of a feeding.
Dude,
I'm thinking for myself. I don't even know how you
worst.
answer. There's just
you can't answer
but
this.
they can't do, Danny. You can't say the rest of their lives.
I did. That's the
my
would you
gosh.
rather for the rest of their lives.
Well, dude, and then it's like, dude, what if your mom lives to be 90 and you're 70?
So be it.
Then you got to live in the same house or at least in the same city.
Yeah, dude.
That might be the worst part. Like coordinating where you live.
I could sit here and think about this for probably the rest of the day, and I'm never gonna.
You know what I'm doing is I'm throwing it on my kids. That's on you. I don't have to be around for it.
So because
they're gonna hate you. They're gonna realize eventually.
Oh yeah,
this was Dad's choice.
It was his choice, and that's
I'm being selfish. So
that's the thing.
Hold
selfish.
on. I got it. What if you realize, okay, I'm 40 or whatever ages we are. You might only have another 30 years of it, and you're saving your kids maybe 50, 70 years of it. Maybe you look at it that way, and you're taking one for the team.
Yeah.
So can I ask one question?
Sure. Yeah.
So, because I wouldn't consider myself super analytical, but when it comes to this kind of stuff,
you better ask the question.
Yeah.
Is this picking up from when you asked the question, or would my kids have been breastfeeding up to this point?
No, right now.
So they have to go back.
No. It should be like, boom, you got to make the decision today.
No, but I'm saying my kids are all. I mean, I got a son coming off a mission in 4 weeks.
He's coming home.
So, but he hasn't been breastfeeding up to this point. He's got to go back and start.
Yeah. He's like 1 meal a day, starting when you're 21.
1 meal a day start. I would say I'll take one for the team, but I'm not. I'm making my kids. My kids are gonna breastfeed.
That's one of the
rest
Danny.
of
That's one of the
disgusting.
best, worst.
I know.
Yeah, that is
interesting ones that we've heard.
It's terrible.
I might give you a fist bump for the creativity on that after the podcast shuts down.
It's actually that's tough.
That's a bad one. Okay.
Clever though. Well done.
That was the last one, man.
Hey,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad we can make this happen.
Thanks for. Sorry,
awesome.
Gosh, man.
No, you were busy.
Building at a new company is last.
We're thankful that you get away for a little bit.
Yeah.
We know how busy you are with kids and work and
you
life
bet.
and neighborhood and all your friends and everything. So
Yeah.
It's crazy, but you guys are my friends. So anytime I can break away, I love hanging out with you guys. So
This is awesome,
we
yeah.
got to get back. I'm bummed the
I
snow's
know we
falling.
didn't really talk about what you like to do, and
golf,
we know you golf, mountain
bike.
biking. Maybe we do round 2 next year.
Yeah, I'd be happy
Yeah.
to come back.
See how things are going at the new company.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's going to be a different landscape in a year from now for
Yeah.
sure.
Awesome.
And I'm pretty optimistic that looking ahead, it's going to be a good one. So
Good.
Good.
yeah.
All right, man.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Thanks,
Thanks, buddy.
brother.
Yeah, you bet.
And cut.